Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Martian Manhunter, issue number 1 of 12. That's right, it's a maxi series. I'm always going to make fun of the maxi series name. Anyway, I know they've been doing it for a while, but still. So, this is unlike most comic books that I read. All right, there's an alien sex scene in here for crying out loud. All right, let's let's talk about who made this comic book, man. All right, so this issue is called A Prisoner. Steve Orlando is the writer. Riley Rossmo is the artist. Ivan Placencia is on colors. Daron Bennett is on letters. Rossmo did the cover and a variant cover by Josh Middleton. And here's the best part of it. Martian Manhunter is created by Joseph Samchson and Joe Certa. So, yeah, I don't think I've ever said that first name out loud in my life. Joe Samchson? Wow. Anyway, so I always love it when they give credit to the people who actually created the work. If I created a character, I damn well want my name mentioned. Just saying. So, let's get into the art first. The art is very interesting in this. I like how this feels like a book that Image Comics would have put out. Maybe Dynamite, possibly IDW. But the art in this is very different than a Marvel DC comic, unless it's a kid's book. If it's a kid's book, we'll often see art just like this. You know what I'm saying? So you can usually tell by the art who the book is actually meant to be geared towards, you know? So, when I saw the alien sex scene, I'm like, oh no, this is wrong. But even before that, there were people who were apparently shot in the chest and you see their internal organs and it's like, what in the hell am I looking at, bruh? So I don't know exactly who this book is geared towards, which is usually a bad thing because anytime you go to a publisher, you say, I want to put this book out. Before they even look at the book, before they even take the manuscript from your hands or upload your little thumb drive, they say straight out, hey man, who's this geared towards? What's the genre? And if you go and say something like, oh, well, it's kind of like self-help, but it's also science fiction, fantasy, and a little bit of new age. And okay, bro, if you can't put one label on your book to tell the people who are going to be stocking this book on the shelves who this is going to be geared towards, bro, your book ain't selling. So there's no purpose in you even coming to talk to me. Go away, come back later when you've maybe put your mind actually into this, when you've actually thought about all this work that you put into this book, So I'm having a hard time understanding who this book is geared towards. That's not to say anything bad about the art at all. I actually like the art. It's just, again, I'm not used to it being in this kind of a book. I'm not used to seeing this kind of art and a human heart inside of somebody's chest and alien sex scenes, man. It's like something out of National Geographic. I don't know if National Geographic even still exists in magazine form, but I remember when I was a kid, I used to wonder, how come they're allowed to show African person boobies, but they're not allowed to show white person boobies? What's going on with that? And it set something in my head, and I think it's done that to a lot of people, and this is kind of like that. How come they're allowed to show this really weird freaking kinky ass alien sex, but we can't see regular sex unless it says it's a Marvel Max book or something like that? People freaked out over the Batawang. What am I reading here? Like there was a clear, oh man, I'm just saying, there was an alien O face. What's up with that? So yeah, dude, you couldn't throw a weirder comic book at me. No, never in my life, dude. This is so odd. And I'm not saying I disliked it. I'm just not saying I loved it. So it was kind of above average book for me. But at the same time, if I'm getting exactly this in issue 2, there might as well not be an issue 3 in my head, because this is really just way too weird. I like the new logo design on the front. You know what I'm saying? I love the issue. Like the issue, just looking at the cover tells you what this book is going to be about. Him as a human detective, but also him as an alien, as a Martian specifically. This is not the Martian Manhunter that I'm used to seeing. When I was a kid and I had no control over this and I didn't understand what it meant to get a comic book without the cover on the front. You know what I'm saying? But I had like a pile of comic books that didn't have any covers on them. I also had them in the corner of my room next to like wet, oily rags and stuff like that. Like all the things that nowadays they tell you don't do. You know what I'm saying? Driving in the car without a seatbelt. You know what I'm saying? Sitting on the hump of the car, which was hot as hell. And most of you guys are like, what are you talking about, the hump of the car? Bro, you're not old enough. You don't get it. It was a very different lifestyle growing up in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? 70s and 80s. Because, wow. So, you know, geez. So anyway, what I'm saying is I can't remember how many Martian Manhunter comic books I had, and I also don't remember how many of them were actually, if any of them were original issues, in so much as, was it the first series where they first introduced the character? Because I remember I liked the character enough back then from reading I may have only had 2 comic books that were actually Martian Manhunter comic books, but it may have been more. I honestly can't remember. I was 7. I don't remember all the comic books that I read. And again, no covers to go with the comics, so I can't even point to it and say, oh, that was the one. Anyhow, I remember I liked it enough that when I was able to get my hands on the Superpowers figure, you know, Martian Manhunter, I was like, this is one of the coolest figures ever, man. And everybody's like, is that the Hulk? I'm like, no, it's Martian Manhunter. People are like, what? I liked Martian Manhunter that much. You know what I'm saying? Great. So this is not that Martian Manhunter at all. Yo, he's a straight up racist. He's a bully. He's like an extrovert in the form of like, he's you know, what do you call it? When I was a kid, we used to call, you know, a young Italian kid, we used to call these guys thumb breakers. You know what I'm saying? These were the guys that would go on the street, and if you owe a debt, I don't care if it's from playing pool or it's from whatever, man, you borrowed money from the, you know, the local butcher. You didn't, you know, you didn't pay the guy back. You know what I'm saying? These guys would come after you. They'd break your thumbs. It'd be a reminder. Hey, when your thumbs heal, maybe you should consider paying this guy back. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, you know, no, we didn't like those guys. But we knew that the thumb breakers would come after you. Sometimes they go after your kneecaps. It depends on how bad the crime was. Were you cursing in front of a woman? That could actually get your kneecap broken. You know, so they'd break your leg or something like that. Like, and that's exactly who Martian Manhunter was on Mars, according to this. Now, is that a bad thing? No, because I don't have any illusion in my head that Steve Orlando is going to keep Martian Manhunter in that way. That's not who Martian Manhunter is, all right? The Martian Manhunter who we all know and love, one of the most heartfelt, open-minded characters that there is. Just bang, you know what I'm saying? That's Martian Manhunter. But this version from when he was on Mars, very different kind of guy. A horrible, I don't know about xenophobic, but he's definitely a racist. You know what I'm saying? And not a good person at all. So obviously that's not going to fly. So what I'm seeing in the future is a redemption story. I like that. No, nary. I like that a whole lot. So I'm actually waiting to see that moment. And it might be a Zen moment where it just boom, like, you know, struck a lightning, hits you, and all of a sudden, oh, I should be a good guy. Or it might be an over time thing where he starts to get introspective. And either way you do that, I'm down for it. I do not see this going south at all. I'm looking forward to that redemption story. But make no mistake, this is not the Martian Manhunter that we're used to. Very different. I see this, you know, ticking off a lot of people. Just remember, it's simply a soft retcon, a soft reboot of who the character actually... No, soft retcon of who the character actually is. Definitely not going to be for everybody. There's little doubt in my mind there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very angry at reading this. And again, this kind of art and then seeing a freaking Martian sex scene, dude, that literally took me right out of the comic book. I had to like stop and I looked back at the cover again. I'm like, really? That's in this book? Whew. So, yeah. I'm not trying to be uptight or anything, but there was alien O-face. So, it's an interesting book, and I'm looking forward to it getting better. You know what I'm saying? There's groundwork here. There's a lot. There's a lot. So, we're going to see his detective life on Earth. We're going to see his past when he was you know, roaming the streets as essentially a thumb breaker, but a legalized thumb breaker on Mars. Okay, okay. Right now, and for now, I am down for this ride. And we'll see how the next issue goes. This might be an issue by issue thing. Anyway, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.